Hi, my name is Becky Jennings, and this is the ResponseABLE Parenting Podcast. I give you the transformational tools to stop reacting to your children in the moment and start responding with intention.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of ResponseABLE Parenting. My name is Becky. I'm your host. Today, I'm going to talk about when is the right time to teach a lesson to our children. I find so often we're trying to teach a lesson in the moment of, right when they've done something that needs some correction or adjustment, and we're teaching that lesson right away. But I want to talk about when is a more effective and how we can more efficiently teach these lessons to our children. So we're not just constantly banging our heads against the wall, being like, I've already taught this to you. Why are you doing it again? So I want to tell you a story. My older son, is in this really funny phase. It's around Halloween time, and he's just loving the phase of scaring us as much as he can. So he'll hide and he'll call us into a room and he'll jump out and he'll scare us. So a couple mornings ago, I had come in to wake up the kids for school, and the lights were still off, and he, from what I thought was the top bunk, said, "Mommy, can you come here?" And I had not seen him. He had crawled out of his bed and he was hiding by the door. The lights were still off. And when I went into the room, he jumped out and was like, "Wah!" and scared the living daylights out of me. As an adult, I was like, okay, that's funny. Like, I can handle it. And we didn't lose any connection over that. He was laughing. I was laughing. But my younger son absolutely cannot handle being scared. So the older son was in the bathroom, and Trey was running in to brush his teeth. And I said, "Hunter, whatever you do, please just don't scare Trey. We know he can't handle that. Like, we know that really affects him." And I hear, "Okay." And what do you know? Trey goes right into the bathroom to brush his teeth. The lights are off. And out of nowhere, I hear, "Roar!" And then, of course, I hear the wailing and the screaming, and Trey falling onto the floor and just losing it. So I ran into the bathroom, and in that moment, kind of like powered over Hunter and was like, "Hunter, I just told you not to do that. Like, come on, buddy." And he, in his little 6-year-old body was like, "I'm sorry." And I calmed myself down. I brought him into the kitchen, and I kept teaching the lesson. I said in a calm way, he's eating his breakfast now, and we're still talking. It's probably only 30 seconds, maybe a minute after the event. And I'm showing him with my hands. You can't see me if you're listening to the podcast, but if you're on YouTube, you can see this. But I was like, right over here, this is your impulse to do something. This is your desire, that kind of like itchy feeling to do something in your body. And this is where you are right now. And I have my fingers and my hands like really close to each other, like maybe a half an inch apart. And I said, and when you want to do something, you're just like, you're just going for it. You're just doing it. There's no thought about should I, shouldn't I, would that be good for the collective? Would that make people feel good? It's just that impulse and the desire, and you just act on it. And I said, my job, and I'm moving my hand further away so there's more space, maybe like a foot in between my hands. And I said, my job is to get you over here so that you can use all those incredible brains in your head, and you can start to go, it feels like this would be really fun, but it might not be the best choice for the group. And he goes, okay. I said, buddy, what did you just hear me say? Because I could tell like it hadn't clicked. And he put his hands up and he said that I'm bad. And then he put the other hand over here, and I need to do good. And it was amazing to me because I had never said the word bad or good. I had never told him that what he did was bad. And so I had to pause a little bit longer and try again in a different way a little bit later to instill the lesson that I wanted to teach. And so it made me realize that, and just is such a reaffirming moment to remind me that teaching a lesson in the moment, especially when the child is in fight, flight, freeze, they aren't hearing a thing. That lesson is just not inputting. They are not internalizing what we're trying to teach. My request to have him not scare Trey wasn't followed. And so my need in my body to be listened to was triggered, and it triggered a big defensive response into me where I was pointing at him, asking him, why did you do that? Buddy, he gets scared. Like, why would you do that? Then I tried to switch the environments, but I tried to keep talking to him and teaching this lesson. The space between wasn't enough. He was still sitting in the discomfort of our interaction. He was still dysregulated. And even though I had calmed myself down to the point where I wasn't in an angry tone anymore, my voice wasn't so rough, he was still in a space that I needed to give him more room to regroup and to regulate. And you might be thinking like, Becky, well, I need to make sure that they don't do that action again. So I need to teach the lesson in that moment. If we don't punish them, they're just going to keep doing the behavior. And I recognize that feeling. Like I desperately feel that feeling in my bones to teach the lesson immediately because I don't want that negative, that challenging behavior to keep repeating. And that's also because of how we experience those moments in our childhood. When we did something that wasn't deemed kind or correct or behaviorally good, we were taught a lesson. And you might say, well, I learned my lesson and I didn't do it again. And that could be true. You might have fully learned the lesson and never done the behavior again. But I encourage you and maybe switch it a little bit in your brain and think about why and what were the reasons that you stopped doing the behavior. Did you not do the behavior again because you had just this enlightened moment from your parents and something clicked in your young brain about empathy and the desire to collaborate and be more inclusive and compassionate towards other people's needs and feelings? I'm going to guess no. That certainly didn't click in my brain till much, much later in life. Or was it because you were afraid of the response if you did it again, the fear around messing up and the consequences that would follow if you went round 2 on this topic with your caregivers? And what were your feelings around that moment? If you can think back to when you were a child and you had kind of maybe one of these mirrored moments that your child is doing, and you kind of remember a similar situation when you were a kid. What did you feel in that moment? What did you take away about yourself, about your character, about who you are as a person? Did you take away that you were a good person who just maybe did a shitty thing? Or did you link that to your worth, to your value, to your enoughness?
As we know, it takes a village to raise our children, but more and more, we are doing the entire job on our own. And that stops today. I have created a parent community app focused directly on giving you essential support tools. The ResponseABLE Parenting Community Group is available now. In this community, you will have more parenting strategies right at your fingertips. You'll have direct access to me and my coaching every month in our live Q&As, where you can bring your burning parenting questions and get my real-time support. I will host monthly exclusive workshops, facilitate weekly skill-building exercises, and more. This space is designed to meet you where you are at on your parenting journey. It's a judgment-free zone with parents and caregivers who are learning and growing right alongside of you. For less than $1 a day, you will have access to exclusive parenting content and coaching. I cannot wait to be a bigger part of your parenting journey. Head over to ResponseABLEParenting.com to join today. Enter promo code PODCAST to receive $10 off your first month. That's PODCAST for $10 off your first month.
It's important for us as conscious parents who are committed to doing our best that we can grow these tools, that we can recognize that in the moment is not the time to teach the lesson, that we are more effective, more efficient, and more connected when we teach the lesson on either side of the bell curve. So if you're thinking about, think about the kids' moment as a wave. At the beginning of the wave is a great time to teach the lesson. At the top of the wave, where there's so much energy, it's right about to crest, not the best time. This is the time to ride the wave and not like try to do this fancy trick as a surfer on the top of the wave, because you're going to get swallowed up by it and it's going to become too much. Then after the wave hits the shore and kind of pulls back and recedes, that's also an incredible time to teach the lesson. Scientists have actually discovered that it takes approximately 400 repetitions in order to create a new neural pathway or a new brain synapse, unless we do it in play. And if we do this in play, if we do these repetitions in play, it only takes 10 to 20 repetitions, which is actually mind-blowing and makes total sense. Because if we're trying to jam a lesson into our kids in the moment, and it's wrapped up in shame, in embarrassment, in pain, in disconnection, the wiring in our brain, we're not going to want to run towards that lesson because it feels icky in our bodies. But if we have a positive association to the lesson, a cool story, a funny moment, if we had a connected moment with our caregiver and we learned this really important life lesson, it sticks and it ingrains, and we want to do that more because play feels good. So how can we start integrating more lessons through play and not just this repetitive beating the lessons into our kids? And this is where connection time and spending time with our children, immersing ourselves in this world, getting curious about what lights them up is so important. And I get that we can't do it every day, but if you can start to add pockets of time into your week and hopefully making it an everyday thing where you really just give them your full attention, phone down, and you say to them, I'm devoting this time just to you, it adds so much collateral in that bank account of listening, of learning the lessons, of being a team. When we get curious about them, it sparks something within them that connects to their value, their enoughness, their worth, and to all our children want is for us to see them. All they want is to know that what they're putting out there, what they love, is valuable, and we see them and we love them for it. It lights up such a part of them, and they want to be in connection and collaborate with us more. So when you're thinking about, when you're in that tense moment, when your child has done something to really upset you, when you're in a sibling squabble, when you're just like, I have taught you this lesson hundreds of times, how come it hasn't clicked? And trust me, I get it. That triggers something so deep within us. And I would argue it links to a wound in our childhood where we weren't listened to, where we had a bad experience that was linked to a negative consequence or an outcome. And that has not been healed or righted within us, and it doesn't feel safe within our body. So as parents, we're trying to just regain that center of safety so that we can handle what's coming at us from our children, and we can turn towards them and be that safety net for them. So when you're in the moment, when you're riding the wave, just know this is not the moment to teach the lesson because it's not efficient. Our child isn't going to hear us, and it's going to actually wire for the negative in their brain. Whereas if we pause, we support them through that experience without adding shame, without adding our storyline, without adding all the extra that we bring to the table. And we can ride the wave, support them through it, let them know that they are safe and that I have you. You are safe. Nothing bad can happen to you in this moment. We will get through this together. And then afterwards, teaching the lesson through a story. Maybe making up a story at bedtime about a similar character. Maybe the character is a dragon or a princess or a bear or a frog, and they do exactly what your child did that day. And then you switch it and have a positive outcome. Or you have the character pause and think about what to do before. If you find books about patience or frustration tolerance and you're able to talk about their character and it's not about them. If you're able to play games that initiate that response of impulse, like red light, green light, initiate that response of impulse, but then they are in the game, in playful response, they have to stop and pause and wait before they can act again. So we're teaching and integrating these lessons through play without adding shame, without adding embarrassment. And they wire these lessons with such a positive, connected feeling that they actually want to do it in a better, safer, more collaborative way. So just when we're in the moment, just know that your only job is to support your child through it, not teach. The life lesson does not come in the moment. It's hands on deck to safely get through the crisis. Afterwards, teach the lesson. If you think about if you go to a friend and you've just gone through like a terrible breakup, or you've just gotten fired from your job, or something really big happened to you, and your friend is saying, take deep breaths, use your words, this isn't a big deal, you'll get through it. You'd be like, this is not at all helpful. Please stop saying that. Just let me know you're there for me. Just let me vent. And it's the same thing with our kids. They just need to be supported through the moment. They just need to feel like we see them. Their experience is valid. We'll get through it. And then we can talk about action steps afterwards. We can talk about the next right move. I hope that was helpful. Till next time, just remember, you're riding the wave. All your job is to support, teach the lessons on either end of the wave. All right. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the ResponseABLE Parenting Podcast. If you like what you heard, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. If you know someone who would benefit from this podcast, I'd be honored if you'd share this episode with them. Until next time, know that you are enough, you are capable, you've made it through all of your hardest days, and we will keep growing on this parenting journey together. This podcast was produced by Kim Kelty and myself, Becky Jennings, and edited by the Kelty Method, Branding and Podcasting.